Hi there, this is Lee, and I'm talking about the unfortunate decision that Hillary Clinton made to bring up the subject of birtherism as it relates to Donald Trump's efforts to question Barack Obama's citizenship, as it or his birthplace. I say that Hillary Clinton made that mistake, that error in judgment, because she would have been much better off just letting that sleeping dog lie. Because the minute she opened her mouth to open that can of worms again and use the mainstream media, as has been proven by WikiLeaks, to serve as her personal megaphone and microphone, her campaign surrogate, the minute she started her full court press, Donald Trump was easily able to link her as well to the origin of the birth movement. And again, we get a lot of fine tooth comb parsing in the vein of someone who throws a rock and then hides her hand, while Donald Trump throws a boulder and just stands there like so when someone asks, "Did you throw that boulder?" So Hillary Clinton is low key with the bigotry and racism that came from her campaign against Barack Obama, while Donald Trump was more like a bull in a china shop. So if you can figure out those analogies and metaphors. So again, Hillary Clinton made a mistake. She should have just let that lie. Immediately, Donald Trump was able to turn it back on her and change the conversation. And so now there's a link in the title of many articles linking Hillary Clinton to birtherism and the origin. What she tried to turn on Donald Trump was turned back on her. There are articles that discuss Hillary Clinton's link, and then there's also the usual deny, 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 delay, 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 and then fine tooth comb parsing of language, in the vein of Bill Clinton denying his relationship with Monica Lewinsky and then saying, well, it depends on what the meaning of is, and this and that. But this is what I will say. In the beginning of the 2008 primary, there were three main contenders: Hillary Clinton, John Edwards, and Barack Obama. And all of them had their experience and background to ably run for office. I think they were all senators, all three: North Carolina, Illinois, New York. So Edwards was the first to go because he made the mistake of talking about income inequality, and the powers that be didn't want poverty issues, economic justice to enter the conversation. Not when there was a bank bailout to accomplish immediately after the presidential election. So John Edwards was the first to go, leaving Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton was angry most of her run because she counted on her Clinton name to carry her through the primary. She also counted on her link to Bill Clinton and his supporters to carry her through the primary. And then her overwhelming war chest of money that she had built up, and then also her access to the media and her control over media, kind of like today. But what she didn't expect was that a Chicago machine could not only come back, but also beat a New York machine. Now, maybe North Carolina and maybe a machine out of Vermont, yeah, that can be handled. But a Chicago machine run by Mayor Daley and Oprah, that was another thing entirely. So right away, Barack Obama started out strong. He came from behind and started out strong. There were signs all over the caucus area of Des Moines, Iowa. Everywhere you go, there were Clinton signs everywhere. There was a lot of money spent. Barack Obama won. And this enraged Hillary Clinton. And when she becomes enraged, she kind of loses focus on how to carry forward in a decent fashion. She gets desperate, and it's just not, she doesn't wear desperation well, and it just went downhill. But she had the support of most African Americans until she started misbehaving. Most African Americans during the very early days of the campaign leading up to the first primary, they actually supported Hillary Clinton. There were more African Americans in Hillary Clinton's camp than in Barack Obama's. That was because of the name recognition and the familiarity, and then the assumption that, no way could Barack Obama possibly win against the Clinton machine. No one can, although he did. But up until that time, no one had ever seen it done. And so, because Al Gore didn't even use the Clinton machine to run his campaign, he separated himself. But, here was Hillary Clinton, and she had everything on her side. And it was not until she started making shady, little racist, bigoted, sideways remarks about Barack Obama did the African American community turn from her. And it was not just Hillary Clinton. Bill Clinton also came out and started making little sly comments because they couldn't decide, well, we want the African Americans, but we also want the Southern white working class too. And so they kind of had to triangulate back and forth, back and forth. But it just got to be too much. I mean, it just started adding up, and people said, no, it's too much. And, the sly little remarks that Bill Clinton made about Barack Obama getting him coffee, about calling Barack Obama boy, remarks Hillary Clinton made about Martin Luther King, saying that, well, he was a community organizer, but it was Lyndon Baines Johnson, the president, who actually got things done. She dismissed Martin Luther King and his entire efforts with the civil rights movement, brought it down to this. And that's when it just got to be too much. And then, some were still sticking with her, but it just kept coming. The sly little undercover, shady, nasty, racist, bigoted remarks. It just kept coming, and then people just abandoned her. She threw the rock, and now she's trying to hide her hand. But people remember. I mean, the internet does not forget. Birtherism didn't really start with Donald Trump. It had its origins with Hillary Clinton. And so now she's parsing words, trying to say, well, I didn't say, nobody said, and I didn't say because it wasn't me, it was my staff, but it wasn't my staff. And no one said the word citizenship. They just said, well, maybe. And so they're being kind of like petty with that. But, African Americans had a reason for leaving her campaign. It didn't just, come out of nowhere. She can pretend all she wants to. She can play the little game, little Clinton game of, well, I didn't intend, and you don't have any proof, and I didn't write my name, and I didn't say birtherism. I mean, you can pretend all you want to. You can play the little okey doke game, but we know, it's known. So anyway, I'm looking at this article, and it says the origin story is a big lie, that Hillary Clinton started birtherism. Well, the lie, it's not really that big. There's some truth in it. This is TPM News. It's written by Catherine Kruger. I'll try to have that link in the description. So basically, they're saying that Donald Trump is a big fat liar, and that Hillary Clinton was not involved. But then this article goes on to say that Trump's birtherism wasn't born in a vacuum. It didn't just come out of nowhere. And so where did he get the false idea that it originated with Clinton and her campaign staff? Okay, how did that happen? Well, apparently there's a March 2007 memo which was obtained by Bloomberg. And this shows Hillary Clinton's chief campaign strategist, Mark Penn, making the case for attacking Obama's limited relationship with American values because of his upbringing in Hawaii and Indonesia. So it was Mark Penn, the chief campaign strategist. That means he was part of her campaign. He was the chief part of her campaign. He was her staff. Hillary Clinton's campaign, her campaign staff, her chief campaign staff, Mark Penn, wrote out a 2007 memo saying like, oh, he wasn't really born on the continental United States. We can say that there's something strange about that, mysterious, Hawaii and Indonesia, trying to imply that Barack Obama was not a citizen. He didn't say the word citizen. He made the implication. He started the rumor. He made the question come up about Barack Obama's identity, saying like, well, Hawaii's, what is that? It's so far away and we don't know. Hawaii, it's in the United States, for those of you who didn't know. And it was definitely a part of the United States when Barack Obama was born. He was born as a U.S. citizen. His mother is a U.S. citizen. He's a U.S. citizen. But this was questioned. And it started within the Hillary Clinton campaign with her staff. And that's documented. It's been attributed as part of her campaign. It's not a lie. Now, we can be petty and say, well, he didn't say citizenship. He just said that he has a limited relationship with American values, questioning his patriotism. Okay, but let's go on. And then Mark Penn says, well, his boyhood in Indonesia and his life in Hawaii, they're trying to say that he's, diverse and multicultural. But it exposes a very strong weakness for him. His roots to basic American values and culture are at best limited. Decide for yourself what that means. Just decide for yourself. Of course, he didn't say birtherism. He didn't say citizenship, but what did he say? He said enough. Mark Penn goes on to write, I cannot imagine America electing a president during a time of war who is not at his center fundamentally American in his thinking and his values. Why was Barack Obama not American in his values? Answer that question, Mark Penn and Hillary Clinton's supporters. Why was that even said? So they poked holes in Barack Obama's identity, but they didn't say like, oh, he's not a natural born American citizen. There's no reference to citizenship, but there is enough. And it goes on to say, well, Clinton didn't pursue this, but yes, she did. She did pursue this. She made many racist statements implying that Barack Obama was not as American as her. She had strong white working class people on her side, and Barack Obama didn't. She was shown like slapping back shots and talking about her guns and how she was American. Basically being something she, was kind of cloaking herself in an identity. And she really played that up when she was in Pennsylvania and places like that, trying to prove herself and to everyone else that she was more American than Barack Obama for whatever reason. And so there were rumors that had risen by that time that Barack Obama was not eligible to be president because he was born outside the United States. And those rumors came from somewhere. There was an email created. Someone wrote it out and then circulated it around supporters of the Clinton campaign. They started an email chain and they sent it around and around and around, throwing rocks, hiding their hands. It was saying that Barack Obama's mother was living in Kenya with his Arab African father. late in her pregnancy. She wasn't allowed to travel by plane. So Barack Obama was born there, and his mother then took him to Hawaii to register his birth. That was what was passed around. And then the Daily Beast has reported that a Clinton supporter created a Puma site as part of Unity My Apps. And that was used to write several blog articles questioning the legitimacy of Barack Obama's citizenship, his ability to take office, that it would be illegal because he was not born on the continental United States. And so this was someone named Linda Starr. She's a Texas-based Clinton supporter. She actually later connected with Philip Berg from Pennsylvania, and they filed a lawsuit over Barack Obama's birth certificate. It was Hillary Clinton volunteer, so it's part of Hillary Clinton's team. And they'll say, well, it wasn't the campaign, but it was enough. You know, the campaign did its own stuff. Her volunteers felt free to do their own stuff too. Okay, so there was also a claim that Barack Obama was a secret Muslim, and Clinton and her campaign staff were also responsible for spreading that rumor too, questioning Barack Obama's religion, and that was a clear case of bigotry. She was losing ground, and so there was an email that had been forwarded by a volunteer county chair for the Clinton campaign. Her name is Judy Rose, and it said that Obama takes great care to conceal the fact that he is a Muslim. The Muslims have said they plan on destroying the U.S. from the inside out. What better way to start that than at the highest level through the President of the United States, one of their own. That was in the email that Judy Rose sent around. So she forwarded that message to 8 other Democrats, and it got to Hillary Clinton campaign staff, and someone shut it down there, and then Rose resigned. But again, she was a volunteer with Hillary Clinton's campaign. And then, there are even volunteers from other counties doing the same thing that Judy Rose did. But this is where it got really bad, and I think this is what turned the tide against Hillary Clinton. This is what nailed the final nail in her coffin, the 2008 primary campaign. Matt Drudge of the Drudge Report published a photo of Barack Obama wearing a turban, part of the traditional dress of a Somali elder during a 2006 visit to Kenya. In the caption, it claimed that this was Barack Obama in his native clothing, implying that he was a native of Kenya and not a citizen of the United States. And that came from Hillary Clinton's campaign. It came from her campaign. And so they say that, the Barack Obama, campaign responded by saying that this was, dirty tricks, and it was something just shameful. And then Clinton's top staffer, her name is Maggie Williams, said, well, they're the ones, Barack Obama, they should be ashamed for being mad about this photo. And then just really not acknowledging where the photo had come from. And there was a denial of where the photo had come from, but I think it's known. Matt Drudge says it was forwarded to him from the Hillary Clinton for President campaign. It's a he said, she said situation, but it's par for the course of how they've been behaving. And it just became too much for the base of African American support that Bill Clinton had built up over the years. They abandoned Hillary Clinton. It was just too much piling on each other. And so African Americans did not abandon Hillary Clinton for no reason. They were on her side to start with. It was her own behavior, her own attitude, her hostility, her negativity towards African American people in general. The fact that she was so unlikable. The fact that she attacked Barack Obama with racist remarks and bigoted remarks. And that she attacked him on his relationship with Jeffrey Wright, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan. It was just constant race baiting, and people abandoned her because of it. So now that she's pointing the finger at Donald Trump, she's guilty of similar behavior. Donald Trump was more overt, more direct. He threw boulders rather than tiny little pebbles. But they basically did some similar. They had similarities in their attitude towards Barack Obama, and it was shameful. And people haven't really forgotten. I think Hillary Clinton is trying her best to revise history, but she would have been better off just not even saying anything. She made a mistake. And it's about the same time that she made mistakes in her primary campaign against Barack Obama. She got desperate. She started making mistakes, and now she's doing the same thing. But anyway, Hillary Clinton's campaign, her volunteers, and her staff have been documented. There's attribution. It can be traced to her campaign staff, her volunteers, and her supporters of how they treated Barack Obama during the 2008 primary. It was so extreme that it caused her to lose against Barack Obama. That's how bad it was. And now she's saying, well, I didn't say there's no proof. Well, I didn't intend, and you can't prove, and I didn't say citizenship, and I never said, and this and that and the other. But we know. You might fool some of the younger people, or you're trying to fool the younger people because it was 8 years ago, and maybe they weren't aware yet of how the Hillary Clinton campaign conducted itself. But the internet, it never forgets. All this is documented. Keith Olbermann did like a real long 8-minute rant of just the many ways in which Hillary Clinton disgraced herself during the 2008 campaign. And, we've seen her bad behavior towards Bernie Sanders. That has been unmasked. And there's more to come, apparently, from WikiLeaks. So to point the finger at Donald Trump, I think is a mistake. I mean, you kind of just played yourself. And now Donald Trump is playing you too. So good luck with that.